Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Jason Carlos Rosado. And the first thing I'm going to do is square up my hips, so if I can get a little dance going on, make sure everybody's with me. How many of you participated in Giving Tuesday earlier this week? Very little. How many know what that is? Okay, how many were presented with an opportunity to give a cause and wanted to and just didn't have the time to? All right, there we go. So I'm going to give you, that's some context here. So we were really busy this week, so I didn't have a lot of time, so I actually pulled together a deck really quickly, and like any good Latino son, I asked my mom for some help. So here's my pitch, and it's also, or how I learned how to stop worrying about my pitch and get some advice from my Puerto Rican grandmother. So the first thing she told me was, mijo, dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. Has anyone heard that before? Right? So that's tell me who you are. Excuse me, tell me who your friends are, and I'll tell you who you are, right? So this is who I roll with. This is our team, the Give Quick team. And I just realized I didn't tell you what we do. So we make it simple and fun to get anyone involved in philanthropy, right? I asked you that question about how and whether you gave during Giving Tuesday and what the friction was associated with getting that involved. So we have a team of 11 right now, all volunteer, ready and activated, ready to be activated with some capital, focused in the key critical areas. And the short story on me is that I moved out here from New York 16 months ago by myself to participate in a Startup Accelerator program. And since then, I've recruited an entire team ready to go. So we're at the stage where we're ready. We have product, we have clients, and we have a team, and we're ready to pursue capital. So that's who we are. And so the next thing my mother told me was, no hay mal que por bien no venga, right? Every cloud has a silver lining. And the cloud today is that the world is in trouble for any number of reasons. There are any number of reasons why you should give. There's actually 1.6 million reasons why you should give. There's 1.6 million nonprofits in the United States, all serving particular missions, all very niche. And so it's not just about the Red Cross, right? And to the companies out here, your customers want to know what you're doing to help save the world and help make the world a better place. And they want to have a say in the matter. So cause marketing is all the rage with respect to companies, but cause marketing is a one-to-one situation, right? Buy this product and we'll donate to this cause. But what if that cause doesn't resonate with you? What if your cause is the nonprofit you run or the nonprofit that your friend runs? Coca-Cola, when you buy that product, they're not going to know anything about you, about that nonprofit. We create an ecosystem where companies can align with causes more easier than they ever could before, and where nonprofits could align with more companies easier than they ever could before. All right? So our strategy. This is my favorite one that my mother taught me. El mono sabe el palo que trepa, which means the monkey always knows the next branch he's going to reach before he releases the first branch, right? So how can we create a giving experience that's as easy as buying a book on Amazon with one click, no keystrokes, simple, one and done, right? That means that you got to get a button just like this, the give button, anywhere and everywhere. So when you're presented with an opportunity to give, you can just press a button and you're done. That's a big, hairy, audacious goal. That's where we want to be as a company. However, to get there, you need Facebook money, right? You need a Facebook bank account. You need to be spending a lot of money in marketing and advertising. So the first branch we're going to do to get there is engage companies in helping their employees decide where the company should give their money, right? So, for example, Chase has their community giving program. They give away $1 million every year, and they ask their customers and people on Facebook to help them decide where that money should go. Chase spends 6 figures running that program. So do other companies in the Fortune 500. We can create campaigns for companies that make that kind of engagement simpler, better, faster, cheaper, and more transparent. So the future of philanthropy and the future of corporate social responsibility is more social, is engaging a crowd to help in those giving decisions. So the first branch is engaging employees, and I'll get into how and what we've done to establish that. And then the next branch is customers, having, just like a Chase, engaging your own customers in a giving decision together. And then once we establish our platform there from a growth strategy, we can go direct to consumer on a more concerted basis to say everyone in this room can have a Give Quick account. And when you are reading that article about saving the whales, you can see that button right next to the like button right next to the like button or the tweet button, you'll see the give button, and you can do something, and you know you've done something. Okay. So here's our traction. El vago trabaja doble, which means the lazy man works twice as hard. And so we have a team that's working twice as hard for no pay. We have a bunch of volunteers working on this, but we've got a tremendous amount of traction in a short amount of time. So as I mentioned before I came out here, in April of last year, we went through the Hub Ventures Accelerator Program. And then within 3-4 months after that, we went through another accelerator program. So we're very well accelerated. Soon after the Points of Light Accelerator Program, we monetized our business model. So we're partnered up with a nonprofit financial services firm called Impact Assets, which is based here. And real quick, it's as if we took a foundation and broke it into two parts. Impact Assets is a 501c3 nonprofit fund that holds all the money, and we're the other part of the foundation that does the marketing, operations, and technology. So we monetized our business model there, and then soon thereafter we stretched our seed capital from Hub Ventures for 16 months, and then ran an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign, raised $16,000, 107% of our goal. And in that campaign, we gave away $5,000 to a nonprofit. So we're eating our own dog food, engaging with a community, and we're getting validation that way. 2 weeks after that, we got our first customer, PricewaterhouseCoopers Charitable Foundation. We helped them give away $1.05 million in 3 weeks. We featured nonprofits in the campaign, and we allowed their employees to decide where $1.5 million should be spent. They ran a campaign like ours themselves last year, and they got 8% engagement over 3 weeks. We got 8% engagement over 24 hours and 25% engagement over last year. And so we just ran an also Giving Tuesday campaign earlier this week. In short order, over the holiday weekend, we pulled together 9 corporate sponsors. We raised a very small grant, but we did a lot of activity on Twitter inviting individuals to help us decide where that $1,000 grant should go to. Okay. So next steps. Here we are. We're looking to raise a $500,000 convertible note round, so I'm asking for the business here. That $500,000 would focus on development on business, tech, and corporate side, and that is going to allow us to increase our impact. So we helped process over $1 million this year with a shoestring budget. Imagine if we had some capital to help us do that. And that is going to allow us to go after a robust pipeline of Fortune 500 clients and grow our direct consumer engagement over the course of the year. And again, my mother said, amor con amor se paga y lo demás con dinero. That means you repay love with love, and the rest you pay with money. So we need some money. And last is a thank you. Thank you very much for your consideration, and would be happy to speak with any of you about our company and what we're doing. Thank you very much.
And we have some time for questions.
Okay.
Hello, hi. Jennifer Arguello from the K4 Center, and thank you for your presentation, Jason. I would love for you to indulge me in telling me again why you started the company, why you moved yourself across over here. What's that about?
That's a great question. Thank you. I didn't actually get into that. So I have 13 years of experience working in banking, actually. 7 years at JPMorgan Chase, 6 years at the Bank of New York Mellon, all in the Treasury Services Division, which is basically Treasury Management Automation. So my expertise is actually in how to automate the treasury function of any size company, how to remove the manual steps of the process, how to get rid of paper, how to electronify as much as possible. And coming out of college, went to a very progressive undergraduate, Wesleyan University, I was very idealistic when I was working in banking and in the late 90s, and I said, there's a way to apply this technology to make nonprofits more efficient. And so I had 2 ideas that I came up with back in the late 90s, early 2000s. One was the notion that one day we'd be living in a world of impulse commerce, and that same infrastructure can support impulse philanthropy. That there should be no friction between your desire to give and your ability to do so online. That giving should be the easiest transaction we can make online, and it should be the most affordable. The infrastructure as it is today with PayPal, if a nonprofit tries to get $1 from you, they're already underwater by 70%, right? But the infrastructure and the crowd and engagement in mobile today can allow for crowdfunding and crowdsourcing quarters in smaller amounts. So I had these 2 ideas, and they stuck with me through 2 banks, some time off, and the opportunity came finally. I got my master's and GiveQuick was my thesis, and finally got invited to be in the Startup Accelerator program, and that gave me the opportunity to actually give up my well-paying job in the bank to New York and move in just me with my father-in-law here in San Francisco to focus on this full time. So that's the background story for me. So just this drive to make giving a lot better, easier, faster for everyone.
So yeah, so just a few words, recommend you tell more of that story because that was extremely engaging and told me about you and why you are the one to do this company. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Hi, Phil Kim, Carlin Ventures and 20 Million Minds Foundation. Could you give me a little bit more detail about your relationship with Impact Assets
Sure.
and how you see that structure moving forward as you guys grow and raise money?
Sure. So Impact Assets, are you familiar with them?
Not really.
Okay, so Impact Assets manages what's called the donor-advised funds, right? Donor-advised funds are the fastest growing philanthropic vehicle in the country. What that means is with a donor-advised fund, you can start your own mini foundation without the overhead, right? So a donor-advised fund, you can make a single transaction into a donor-advised fund. Let's say a Mark Zuckerberg will make a $50,000 donation into a donor-advised fund, and then he's made his single tax-deductible financial transaction into a 501c3 nonprofit. Thereafter, he advises the fund where he'd like that $50,000 to go. So it's simpler for him to make the one inbound transaction to the donor-advised fund, and then the donor-advised fund does all the heavy lifting of writing the checks and delivering the money and having the relationships, right? So Impact Assets does that for us, which means that we didn't have to build an operation of managing a foundation on top of managing a technology platform. We're just a technology platform. And what that also means is that we can do that for any donor-advised fund. So the Charles Schwab Foundation, et cetera, we can be the simple, fun, decision layer experience on top of this operational model.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, Ralph Marks. I want to say that I really liked your pitch overall.
Thank you.
The quality, the style, the way you approached it. It's you. It told me some facts, but it also told me a number of things about you as well, and they're all good.
Thank you.
I think. One of the things about pitches is that you really, by slide 3, you really need to make sure people know exactly what you're doing. And I'm usually pretty good at this, and I have to admit that, and maybe I'm the only one, but I'm still a little confused. So I got the concept of large corporation employees, they have programs, they want the employees engaged. You have a platform that does that, but I didn't quite get the rest. There's a give button of some kind, so help me out with.
Sure. Well, you got the crux of it, that we're helping companies engage their employees in deciding. What the give button does is the decision mechanism for doing that. Because what a donor-advised fund allows to happen, let's think about a foundation, right? A bunch of wealthy donors get together, create an endowment, and then decide behind closed doors where that money should go, right? And they make decisions associated with that money, right? The money is already moved, right? What happens after is the decisions. What we've created with our give button is a way to distribute the decisions to a crowd or to an individual. So let's say there's $50,000 in the pot. You can say, of this room, I can tell you, we've got $50,000 in the pot, pull out your phone and decide between 3 nonprofits which nonprofit should receive that money. What we've done is streamline the decision and the execution associated with the decision down to literally a button press. No keystrokes, so it's easier for you.
So that's where I got off track.
Sure.
I thought you were creating something that would be consumer-facing at some point as well.
At some point, yes, in the future. In order to get there, that's what I meant by saying we need Facebook money. We need to get our button everywhere. We need to be talking with a lot of different content platforms. We need to be proving that. And so how we get there is by proving that we can do that for customers, for companies first.
Companies first, which is fun. Okay. And so that's the part maybe that should have been a little clearer.
Gotcha.
We're focused on this. We're doing this. So that was great. The other thing, as far as so I love the slide also about traction, using images and symbols, and talking about the programs you've done. I generally find that storytelling works better than numbers, especially at the beginning. Numbers will come out in due diligence. So when you were telling this about Price Waterhouse, which is a big win, very credible client, very appealing to an investor type to see that. It might have served you a little better to tell how you got Price Waterhouse as a client, like what was their pain, what, they've been doing this for X number of years and it's all screwed up, or something, whatever the story is, and that would make it probably a little more understandable and powerful. That's okay. So,
Thank you.
but it's really it's a good pitch, and it's a great idea.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your feedback.
All right, thank you, Jason.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll have a study room come up next.
Cool. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I want you to raise your hand if you're in college. Ooh, tough crowd. I want you to raise your hand if you've been to college. Awesome. So if you've ever been in college, you've been in these huge lecture halls. But by the end of the semester, you only get to meet a couple of people. Come night before homework's due, or even worse, night before final, and you're doing homework and you get stuck for hours. I've been there, and every single college student has been there. But what if you could get help from everyone in your class? What if you can just tell everyone, I want to get together to study, and you can tell your entire class. And that's exactly what we created, Study Room, to be the best way for students to connect with their classmates. Finally, any student can access the brain power and knowledge of their entire class. And the students are already sharing notes, study guides, and even forming study groups on our platform. The students learn best by helping each other out, and that's exactly what they're doing on a Study Room. And the possible impact we can have on higher education is huge. There's currently over 21 million college students just here in the US. So what's our game plan? This semester, we've been running a pilot at San Francisco State to test our growth strategies and possible revenue models, and it's been great. The pilot focused on mathematics, biology, and chemistry, and has reached about 1,000 students. And what's most amazing is that over 50% of them are coming back to our platform every single week. And that was especially true during midterms week, of course. And another really cool thing we've seen is this. Just within minutes after you post on the Study Room, a handful of your classmates has already seen your post, increasing the likelihood of you getting a response within minutes. But why and how are students doing this? Well, it's because since day one, we also released a Study Room on the iPhone. And at San Francisco State, mobile has been over 35% adoption, because mobile is how our generation is doing education. And you can quote me on that. And we're very grateful for our campus founder. This group of amazing people are helping us grow and establish ourselves at the campus. And we're actually going to be running a campus founder program in every single school we go to. That said, Spring 2014 is coming up pretty soon, and we're ready to go in with everything we've got. So we're very excited to announce here at the Innovation Summit that next semester, Study Room will be officially launching at 5 different universities, including San Francisco State, Penn State, San Jose State, UC Santa Cruz, and UC Berkeley. So next semester, they're finally going to be able to experience what social learning really means. And there's a couple other products. There's a couple other products that have tried to be the all-in-one for students, for professors, and for administrators, and we think that is their problem. We're damn proud to say that we focus 100% on the student, and everything that we build, we put the student first. Including the business model. Part of the business model we're really excited about is the mentor program. Because you see, we're able to find the best students right from our platform, invite them to become mentors, where they can build out their reputation, offer paid mentoring sessions, and start making money. And that way, we keep all the money within the student body. And we have a great group of advisors and investors, like the guys from Imagine K-12. My name is Emerson Malca, and I started coding in my first company when I was in high school back in Peru. I started my first education startup when I was a senior in college. And Pindi, my co-founder, he's the smartest kid I know. He's 19, and he started coding when he was 8. He passed out on MIT to come here to the Valley and live the dream. And we're the best team to make this happen. In previous EdTech ventures, we have reached over 70% of a single university and have reached over 2.5 million students from all around the world. And we're going to do it again with Study Room. So if you're really passionate about social learning, come talk to me, and I'll tell you how we're going to make an impact in higher education, starting right from where it matters the most, the students. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. That was great. I love
Thank you.
seeing all the students. And if you're at San Francisco State, I think I recognize some of those students.
Oh, yeah?
That's pretty cool. So my question is about your business model. Could you speak a little bit more about that? Because I wasn't sure, how are you gonna make money off of the mentors?
Yeah, so we're basically building up a reputation system, so it's pretty much points based on everything that they do, every single interaction. When they post an answer, they can get likes, which makes them gain points. Whenever they share their notes, whenever they share study guides, whenever they do anything, they can start building out their reputation. So we can find the best students. So after next semester, they can say, okay, I just took Calc 2 and I move on to Calc 3. I want to be a mentor for Calc 2. And they can offer paid mentoring sessions. They can offer them for free if they want to build out their reputation, get more points, get thank yous and everything. But they can also offer paid mentoring sessions. And we got feedback from the students, and they think it's great because they can start making like $15 an hour, $25 an hour just from doing this mentoring stuff, which is a lot more than what they make at Starbucks or at Pete's, where they work already like $8 an hour or something like that. So they're really, really excited about this. And of course, the mentors themselves, to build out their reputation, they're going to be creating also resources for the students, which is just creates a feedback loop. I want to be a great mentor. I want to start making money. I'm going to create these resources. The students get the resources, and they're super excited about it, and it just creates a feedback loop all around.
Okay, have you had any transactions yet?
No, of course, we're focusing on growth, but finals week is in 2 weeks, and we actually just released a brand new version of a Study Room yesterday, which includes the mentor resources that we're testing with one single class this semester. So we're going to be testing that on a very small scale and see what happens.
Okay, yeah. Talk to me when you see the green.
Will do.
And I had a follow-up to that as well. Is that going to be the core business for you, or are you also looking at pathways with institutions or administrators at these various campuses where they might actually have a paid version, a premium version?
So one of our biggest differentiators is that we focus 100% on the students. We don't want to be pleasing the administrators. We don't want to be pleasing even the professors, and then moving away from what we really want to do. We really want to create the best platform for the students. So everything that we do is going to be based around that. So we don't want to shift our product into building something that is going to allow professors to grade and then get out of our focus. Our focus and our differentiator is that we're building for them, and that's why they love our product. So the business model, as I said, one of them is going to be the mentoring stuff. Another couple of things that we thought about is just the mentors themselves, also creating higher quality resources for the students, like a more complex study guide with a lot more stuff, and then offer that as a premium so that students can just pay a subscription fee and they get all the premium stuff available whenever they need it.
Hey, so again, a good pitch.
Thank you.
Last time I judged a pitch contest was 4 years ago, and these pitches are infinitely better
Thank you.
than that group. I got where you're going. The one place that still leaves me a little confused, as investors, we hear a sentence about we are different because, and it can be we have 5 buttons, they have 3 buttons. So we've heard every reason in the world, a lot of 90% of which are not really differentiators.
Mm-hmm.
And I do get a sense that there's a real differentiation, so you're focused, but maybe one more sentence to just really help me understand exactly why having a different model than all those other companies is making a difference. Is it reducing fear somewhere? Is it creating a better body of knowledge? What?
Well, it's just very natural. We're actually building for the end user, which is something that has not been done before. Companies like Blackboard, they built for the administrators, and they included the students there, and therefore, none of the students like Blackboard. Like, I don't know anyone who can tell me, I like Blackboard. And yeah, and
Okay.
I meet hundreds of students. Like, I'm actually, right after this, I'm going to SF State to meet a couple other students. And they all love Study Room. They love the fact that it's already on mobile. We're building for them. It's not the student, it's not the professor, it's not the administrators there. We're building for them. And they feel pretty safe knowing that, the professor is not there controlling them or doing anything like that.
Or setting their grade based on the questions they've been
Exactly. So
Yeah.
exactly. So professors right now force them, and they say, you have to post every single week on this forum because that's going to be part of your participation grade. But students here just post because they want to, because they really like it, they want to help, or they want to get help.
Excellent. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Time for one quick question, since you were a little fast in your presentation.
I
One
talk
final
fast.
question? If not, we'll,
Less is more.
all right. Thank you, Study Room.
Thank you.
Faculty recruiting in the United States is broken. We're encouraging students to pursue STEM careers and STEM educations, but if they want to be a faculty role model for their community, there's two ends of the pipeline. And this end after graduate school, on an area that I focus on, which are called postdoctoral students, they get very little support. And if we consider underrepresented minority students from the Hispanic, African American, and Native American communities, there are even more problems for these students. The pipeline is very small. There are only about 2,400 candidates in the United States who will be faculty role models for our students. They don't get much career support at this postdoctoral stage, and so this pipeline is broken for them to become faculty role models. But we're talking about STEM, which is critical for the knowledge economy of the United States. We need to have our students trained in STEM, and we need to have STEM educators to help our students. Here are just a few of the reports that are coming out from the federal government and the private sector on the importance of STEM. So what's the disruptive service that we've created? My nonprofit, Diverse Scholar, has the largest CV database of these minority faculty candidates. And what I've done is proactively gone out and find these hard-to-find students and postdocs. For instance, I may have up to half of the talent pool in the nation, about 1,200 candidates in my email list. And so this is a proactive database for recruiting that institutions can use to diversify their faculty candidate pools. Complementary to this are our publishing vehicles, which are used to push our content of our institutional clients through ads to our readers, and our publishing platform, minoritypostdoc.org, and our publication, Diverse Scholar, keeps our readers, these graduate students and postdocs, engaged. Here is that diverse talent pool, the people who will be future faculty role models for all of our younger brothers, our sisters, our cousins, and so on. I have potentially half of the talent pool that's out there in the nation, but I've lived this experience, and this is what motivates me to do these things. I am a biochemist by training. My doctorate is from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I'm first-generation Peruvian American, and I've lived the experience, and I've seen the challenges that postdocs can face. More importantly, though, I am the oldest of 16 grandchildren in the Gutierrez side of my family, and I've seen the challenges that my cousins have faced if they don't have a college education. This has motivated me to make sure that there are Latino, African American, and Native American faculty role models to educate our upcoming youth. As a nonprofit, I'm new to this sector. I'm learning and making advancements. Here I'm receiving an award from the Chancellor of the University of California, Irvine, where I was training, recognizing my service to the postdoctoral community. And then as a nonprofit, I'm starting to make inroads in terms of getting traction among stakeholders. I was a semifinalist for the Echoing Green Social Entrepreneurship Fellowship this past year. And I'm actually a current finalist for a startup grant for diversity media publishers from an organization called Unity. But there's a slide missing. So but I have a team that I can explain. So I am incubated by a organization called Community Partners based in LA. It has a 25-year history of incubating 500 nonprofits. I have a board of content experts in higher education, faculty members from Medical University of South Carolina, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, Portland State University. These are all content experts who know how to help diverse postdocs. And then Community Partners is my back end, which helps me with financial management and HR infrastructure. So basically, what I'm here for as one of the few nonprofits in this audience is trying to educate people in the public and the tech community about what I'm trying to do to help out your organizations. If you didn't have any faculty role models who identified with your community, that's the solution that I'm trying to provide. And so I'm hoping that certainly with the prize money from this pitch competition, or if any of you social good angel investors, if you will, can donate to my nonprofit, these are the funds that I need to use to market my services to the higher education community. The diversity stakeholders who are out there spending and wasting, in my opinion, millions of dollars on some other diversity niche publishers, but my own surveys of my postdocs show that they're not reading those websites and magazines. I found the readers, now I just need to get those readers in front of the diversity recruiters through my publishing products. And so the funds that I can raise will be used for me to go to these conferences where diversity stakeholders come together, and then that way they'll start using my services. This is my main overhead, is marketing. So for instance, at the Keeping Our Faculty of Color conference, which was organized by the Chief Diversity Office out of the University of Minnesota, I was a speaker there to educate them. I have found the graduate students and postdocs. Now let's set up a financial relationship. So with the partnership with Latino Startup Alliance as an organization, as well as the community, and with your help, we can use this talent database for proactive recruiting and then create faculty role models for our growing, especially Latino student population. Thank you.
Do you want me to?
Hey, Alberto.
Hey, Jennifer.
Good to see you. So yes, this is a huge problem, not just for diversity hiring, but just any hiring in STEM. Very familiar with it. And I think a couple years ago, I heard the number that there were only like 30 Latinas faculty members in STEM, and I was sitting at a table with 3 of them, so it was really sad. But I'm going to put my VC hat on. And since we like to see big markets, it would be great to understand what is the overall market size, what is the pipeline of faculty positions out there, and then understand, what this plays a part in, because then I can, wrap my head around how big of a problem we're talking about, because that talks to impact and impact dollars.
I have the same question.
Yes. So there are a couple of questions there. I'll answer the easy one first. In terms of that training pipeline, that number I pointed out of 2,400 individuals, that's it. Those are the diamonds that have come through our 15 to 20-year training system after they've gone through a student coding camp or a K through 12 STEM enrichment program, after they receive their PhD. We go from millions upon millions of middle school students down to only 2,400 underrepresented minority postdocs are in the nation today. That's what the National Science Foundation recently published in terms of what the surveys are. So that's all we have to work with. Obviously, all of our early pipeline programs are trying to change that number, but at the moment, it's that 2,400, they're on their own. So I'm the only support system in the nation that is trying to help them. And right now what I'm doing is building the infrastructure first to find them, and then to market my career, as a career coach, I help them, but then more importantly, connect them to the diversity stakeholders. And so that leads to the second question in terms of sort of like the business market. It's primarily, my clients are in education because it's easiest for me to find who those stakeholders are. This is a chief diversity officer who reports to the president, the vice president of academic affairs, what's known as the provost, they have a diversity person, or in the human resources office, the affirmative action or equal employment opportunity officer. Those are the 3 main people, at least in academic institutions, that are spending millions of dollars a year on either websites or attending conferences or other things. But my surveys of my postdocs show that they're not engaged with those people. Maybe they knew about a diversity program when they were a student, but once they get to the postdoc stage, for various reasons, they've disengaged from that diversity communication channel. I'm the one who's plugging that gap. And so I'm estimating that there's at least, let's say, $2 million out there. I know it's small, but that's what's being spent right now by institutions on trying to find, for instance, through an ad on a diversity website. My challenge is, as a nonprofit, diverting those funds to my nonprofit for them to actually reach the readers they want. But the reason I'm a nonprofit is that in the interim, before I can redirect those funds, I can qualify for federal grants, which will provide for me the funds I need to survive what people have called, the startup valley of death, especially as a nonprofit. So here I'm trying to educate VCs and angel investors more about the needs, but then also if you have any philanthropic contributions, I'm asking for just a little percent of your dollars toward these efforts, especially if you're already involved in some type of K through 12 program. That's your long-term investment for hoping there's a diverse faculty pool in the future. If you give me just a little bit of your time and your money, this is your short-term investment, because I've got 1,000 people who are ready to be hired, but we need financial support to get them to be proactively recruited. It's a long answer, but I hope I've covered some of the issues.
Time for one more quick question.
So, right now, you have a niche, a very specific niche in the job hiring and the job market, which is great. And that's good to focus just on that. Now, keep you busy for a while, which is fine. At some point, can you expand to assist diversity hiring across certainly all levels of education, but maybe even in corporate world? And you can't just say yes. You got to give me something that you know about.
Sure, of course.
Something to back that up.
For the purposes of this presentation and being sort of focused, I've concentrated on the higher education market. But my postdocs can be hired by any institution. Facebook, for instance, needs PhDs for their R&D offices. And so any institution that needs doctoral level experts. Heck, I have a postdoc who is in philosophy. So if you need a philosophy postdoc who's an underrepresented minority, I have them, because I've gone out and become the one-stop shop for them. Certain areas, you don't necessarily need doctoral training, and I would just adapt my model for those other areas. So for instance, in the fine arts, you can get a faculty career or go on the job market with just an MFA. At the moment, though, I'm focusing on where there's the greatest need. A recent estimate reviewed what the federal government is spending, and it's something ridiculous. Like almost $100 million are being spent on STEM programs. But most of them are geared toward K through 12 and other outreach efforts. But if the long-term goal is to diversify the professional workforce, it essentially all comes down to this same 2,400 people, and we're not spending money on helping them. So I'm trying to change the equation here. We're doing plenty in terms of the long-term investments. Just give me a little bit of the money for the short-term investment, because the reality is the baby boomers, who are our current generation of faculty and leaders, they're retiring. We need to have the next generation be proactively recruited. But it's a longer conversation, but I hope to give you a little bit of a touch on the issues involved.
Got it.
Thank you.
Great.
Now I'll pass out my handwritten thank you notes.
Thank you, diverse scholar.
Handout, yes.
I want to thank Jesse for inviting me, and I just whipped up here from Stanford. Can everybody hear me? Yeah? Okay. About a year and a half ago, my daughter graduated from San Francisco State University. My daughter Monica is from a little town called Santiago Pascado Durango, which is a little town in the center of Mexico. And she is the granddaughter of Socorro, and who came over here on the Bracero program back in the 60s. And so I married Socorro's daughter at the University of Pacific, and Yolanda graduated with 2 degrees, one in education, one in psychology, and her sister, Gabriela, is a professor of Latino studies at University of Seattle. So miracles can happen. And so Monica came to me after graduating and said, Dad, if Silicon Valley is so smart, why are 50% of our Latino students dropping out of high school? Can't they come up with a solution to that problem? Somewhat simplistic question. And I really didn't take it seriously because I was very thankful to have gotten Monica through school. And I'm not sure that I could have taken on another challenge like that. But it got me to thinking, and I started to do some research on the very basic statistics that I think we're all pretty much aware of. The Latino population in the United States is the fastest growing demographic in terms of sheer numbers. And when you consider that, that marker in terms of the president's legislation in 2011 regarding the National Latino Education Imperative, we see that there is a significant pain point to the country coming up unless we address it immediately. So we started this company called Siembra, and if anybody remembers Ruben Blades, the song from years ago, Siembra, I made a phone call down to LA and talked to his pianist, Oscar Hernandez, and I said, Oscar, I have an idea, can you help me? So in diving into this problem set, we identified a specific pain point that the fastest growing demographic in sheer numbers in the United States also has the highest dropout rate, relatively speaking, right around the 9th grade. But primarily, the average student counselor ratio in California is 800 to 1, which is clearly untenable. There has been a tremendous amount of research on this particular topic from Dr. Patricia Gandara at UCLA, who is very well known in this field. And whether we realize it or not, our Latino students are perhaps more dependent on counseling and to help navigate through the system than their Anglo counterparts. And in our research and going across the country and interviewing countless number of counselors, we have firsthand experience that that is indeed true. This advisor gap has a disproportionate effect on our demographic and ultimately on our country and our ability to succeed in the STEM fields primarily, but generally speaking, in the next 50 years, this could be problematic to the country. So Monica and her comadre Felicitas, who is a bilingual educator in Chula Vista, came to me and said, we would like to be a part of building a company. Felicitas is a tremendous inspiration, and she is providing us with real-time data with regard to her students on the border. And we have developed a platform and applications for the counseling field. So as you are familiar with Sal Khan and his position about flipping the classroom blended learning model, what Siembra is attempting to do is to flip the counseling profession, because there is a great deal of dependence on professional counselors, academic counselors, and mentors to help our students navigate through high school and into college. So we have pilot programs in East LA in La Puente, Bassett High School, and Martin Galindo, the superintendent down there. We also have Dr. Jose Luis Valenzuela at UCLA sponsoring us into the Los Angeles Unified School District for additional pilots. So currently we have about 5,000 students online. We also are piloting up here in the Bay Area. Hayward School District is very interested in what we're doing, and we're currently engaged with Bonnie Lewis for a major deployment of an additional 5,000 students. So to give you an idea of the counseling profession and how far behind they are, you see this piece of paper? This is how they manage their students. Look at it. It says attendance and tardies, homework assignments are done, partially done, none turned in. It's all done on paper. And so, as you know, in this particular market, Latino students, student age, they are adopting 4G technology faster than any other demographic in the United States. In fact, we can meet them where they live, which is on their mobile devices. So if you go to a local high school and you'll see the kids come out of school, they're literally on their mobile devices talking to each other with their thumbs. So what we've developed is a basic platform for the laptop that has mobile connectivity where the student can go into a chat room, and primarily the academic chat room, where the counselor can be available to the student virtually and this is very important, there is currently no metric recording ability by the administrator to determine how many touches a counselor has with a student per week. So when you consider 800 to 1 student to counselor ratio, that metric is very important in terms of managing progress to their objective. What we do is we provide this connectivity, and we also provide metrics in addition to content in driving this connectivity and helping the students stay engaged with their program. The business model is a commercial model. So I'm from the for-profit business side. I'm a Silicon Valley executive for a number of years. Worked for Peter Curry at Netscape, went over to Phone.com, mobile applications, worked for Rambus for a while, had enough of that and decided to start my own consulting firm. But ultimately, this particular project has grabbed me. What we can do with the help of our friends in the Latino entertainment community in Los Angeles, primarily through Oscar, Norman Lear, and Paul Simon, the producer of his last CD. They have thrown some money at us, and we're now getting off the ground. The Siembra Advising Network, since there's a 800 to 1 average ratio, our counselors are our sales channel, and our product is free. So there is an inherent competitive advantage by using market dynamics to pay for this. So ultimately, we become an engineering house, custom engineering house for counselors and the school districts. We have a contract with Education Funding Partners, started by Mickey Freeman out of Harvard Business School, and he's bringing us $8 CPMs for our platform. The Latino student community is estimated at $1.5 trillion in the corporate sponsorship and ad placements and university recruitment. Let me give you an additional data point. We had a major meeting with the university down in LA. Their Latino retention rate dropped from 64% to 62%. And the provost said, we don't understand precisely why that is happening, but we believe that a lot of our students are dropping out because they're running out of money. Is there a way to help counsel them manage their money so they graduate on time? Because that 2% drop means tens of millions of dollars in grant money to the university. So it actually has a multiple effect. In the Southern California market alone, there are about 3 million students in the pipeline. Siembra breaks even at about 100,000 students. I mean, we have provisional patents in play. We have a defensible positioning. But the thing is, this ultimately is a business development play in propagating the solution as a free solution and helping capture our students before they drop out. We believe at a 7.5% penetration into the market at a $4 CPM, over a period of 5 years, we'd be able to generate $50 million in revenue. Now, we operate as a for-profit in order to attract the best minds in Silicon Valley. We can't attract the best engineering minds and thinkers, strategic thinkers to our company unless we incentivize them to come to us and work 24/7. So I'm sure you know how that is. A lot of people come in to their offices with their futons, literally living at their offices, come up with solutions. That's what we want to do. This is a very important cause with a very serious implication to the country, and we have to address it now. Some of our traction, what I didn't put up here is that we have about 5,000 students online now, and it's growing. And our basic management team includes these individuals. Mari Gonzalez, who's helping us with the Exmati Communications, and she's awesome. Emerson Brand down in Los Angeles. So we're working also with Mark Warschauer, Dr. Mark Warschauer from UCI, who is one of the leading researchers in the field of education technology. Also Oscar Randall Martinez from Cordoba Corporation, and Gary Saga from Harvard, and Archie Robinson from Stanford. And that is it. If there are any questions, feel
All right,
free
we have a minute and a half for questions, so get them in quickly.
No questions.
You touched briefly on some IP that you guys are looking at. Could you
Correct.
tell me a little bit more about that? It seems
Right.
like a minor
Right.
thing for you, but
No, that's a very good question. Robert Morris down in the Bay Area talked about that with me about a year or so ago. So we've developed algorithms, and I can get into this more deeply with you, but certain algorithms regarding student progress, especially with English second language learning. And we're building those algorithms into the platform where the responses on content being driven to the student and the responses in the gamification environment. So we provide CPA points to these students that they complete certain assignments on time, they get CPAs that are redeemable, but we also provide algorithms that would identify the progress score for that individual and to see where they are as far as college, career, and personal. So there's a company called Guild here in San Francisco, Guild, G-I-L-D. They do that same type of algorithmic evaluation of engineering students. And they were just funded about $11 million about 2 months ago.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Great. Thank you.
very much.
Thanks, Timothy.
Hello, everybody. That's a big number. There's 55 million kids in K-12 education today. And it impacts everybody. I mean, we all went through education in some form or another. And we all know that also that the system is quite broken. I mean, our schools are filled with paperwork, with ineffective communication methods, and we believe that it's time for a transformation. So we're Sleek Geek. We're a teacher-led edutech company building the next generation of mobile learning apps. We want to reboot education and leverage technology to increase accountability for schools and also student achievement. So we're targeting not just teachers and students, but also parents and administrators. Because by connecting all stakeholders, we believe that we can target and close that communication cycle. So first, we rebooted literacy. We built Read With Me, which is a reading fluency assessment platform. Now, Read With Me is important because fluency is actually one of the biggest indicators of reading achievement success. Also, if practiced regularly and monitored effectively, it shows that students' reading scores will increase, and schools get this. And so we built this app, which I'm going to show you right now. That's my student, Erica. She's reading on one iPad over here, and as she's reading, it's recording her voice and her image. And on the other tablet that is synced, the teacher is tapping on the miscues and registering the errors. So the process is completely automated from scoring and reporting and calculations. So it saves a lot of time for teachers. It's also fully customizable. That means I can import any passage I want, which is something that no other product is doing out there. It also lets me score the passages however I want. And most importantly, it saves teachers lots of time. We can estimate that we're saving about 50% more time for teachers who are not spending the time sitting in the copy room, sifting through binders, trying to find the right passage for their students. And that leaves more time for those impactful conversations that they can have with their students around goal setting. And it also leaves more time for teachers to plan and deliver that individualized instruction that really drives student achievement. And we're very excited because Read With Me actually has 100,000 users right now on the web and iTunes. And we've got to this milestone without virtually any marketing. People are coming to us in just 8 short months. And we're all over the web. We're also on Edmodo platform, which is like a Facebook for teachers. We're also on the web, and we're expanding to Android soon and several other learning platforms. We're in Sweden and New Zealand and countries in between, so people are really interested in this product. And as you know, tablets are inevitable in our schools. Just last year, from 2011 to 2012, we saw a 340% increase in the sales of tablets to schools. And these figures are projected to grow. Just by the end of this year, we're looking at 7 million devices. Actually, tablets account for 35% of all tablet sales that are selling worldwide. They're going to schools. So to capitalize on this market, we have big plans at Sleek Geek. We are releasing Uply also, which is another app, because we're not just a one-app company. We're an education app pipeline. We're releasing Uply, which is a student-centered, it's a behavior management tool that connects all the stakeholders in our schools around behavior management. We're also developing Read With Me Premium, which is going to extend the functionality of our fluency assessment app into an instructional tool for classrooms and group reading. And we're very excited also about Core Math Jam. If you guys have heard of the Common Core standards, well, there are performance tasks involved which people haven't figured out how to score. So we're making this a crowd-scoring platform that is student-driven so they can use their content and score each other, kind of like Stack Overflow works for problems on technology. So we believe that by the fifth year, by diversifying a revenue model, not just App Store downloads, but also district partnerships and school partnerships and freemium models, and expanding into all the platforms, we want to be in 10,000 schools in 5 years. With those numbers, we believe that we can reach $24 million worth of revenue. But to get there, we're going to need some seed funding to hire more engineers to be able to build those features that teachers are asking for right now. Also, to hire a sales and marketing team that are to put our apps in front of teachers worldwide, and to build those strategic relationships with districts and schools. And of course, content creators, because in this age of the Common Core, engaging in innovative content is key, which brings us back to what we're all about at Sleek Geek. I've been teaching for 14 years. I've been putting content, and my other teammate, Reina, has been putting content in front of students and teachers, educational tools, in front of administrators, so we really know what works and what engages people in our schools. But we also understand the pain points and what hurts in our schools. So I think the direct experience in classrooms and schools is what gives our team and our apps our edge. So who are we? Well, I'm Francisco Nieto. I've been teaching for over 14 years in Oakland and Hayward and the East Bay. I'm also a hybrid, I have a hybrid role because I'm the teacher, but I'm also an iOS developer. There's also Giancarlo Bison, which he's, I don't know who he is. He's back there. He's a serial hackathon winner. He's been coding since he was 12 years old. He's a multiple hackathon winner. He's won at AT&T and Microsoft and a bunch of other places. And Reina Cabezas, who's not here right now, she won Startup SF EDU last year. She's a one-to-one implementation specialist working in Oakland's Fruitvale district. So that's who we are. We're Sleek Geek. We're a teacher-led edutech company, and we're building the next generation of mobile learning apps. So you can visit us at sleek-geek.net. Thank you very much.
So
Questions?
I'm a little confused. The reading tool is one-on-one, one teacher to one student.
Mhm.
Isn't that the opposite of the problem? A teacher has 35 students in a classroom and growing.
Yeah.
So where's the, so are your teachers going to be eventually people who are not a working teacher in a public school? They're going to be some other source, or what am I missing?
Yeah, so actually the fluency assessment process is something that is being widely practiced throughout education in K-8 schools from Australia, all over Canada, the United States. It's been shown that fluency increases comprehension. So after the 2006 report by University of Oregon, a lot of schools got on the ball and started doing fluency assessments, and it requires a teacher to sit with a student and spend that time scoring and calculating and making photocopies. So I did that for years, and I thought it really sucked. So I thought it could be put on a tablet and automate the process.
Okay, so these programs exist in the schools already.
Yeah, and they're paper-based.
It's been a long time since I've been in high school, unfortunately. So there are programs, and yours is just a tool that's going to make that process better.
Yeah, it makes it faster, and also it allows people to incorporate any text they want. They can upload it into the app, and actually we've seen people use some of the competitors' passages in our app.
Okay, and is there something about your process? Is there some science behind this? Imagine there's probably a gazillion tools out there, people who are claiming we help you read better, we improve reading, we teach better, is there some research you've done that really proves your case, or are you learning as you go and the tool is evolving?
The research around reading fluency has been around for a long time, actually since 2006 when this report came out by Jan Hasbrook and Gerald Tyndall. They pretty much revolutionized the way people are teaching reading in schools. They made everybody realize that it's not just about comprehension, but to actually teach fluency, words per minute and accuracy really boosts comprehension. So it's something that a lot of teachers, if you ask any teacher, they've sat and done running records, and it takes hours overall to get through a student. So we made it much faster and easier.
Nice. Excellent idea.
Still have a minute and a half for questions.
I just had a question about who you're marketing to. Is it districts and schools, or is it the individual faculty? And is that the strategy for most of the other products in your pipeline?
Yes, we want to hit a different entry point. So one of them would be direct App Store downloads, but of course you can get lost in the sea of the iTunes Store and Android. So it's more than that. It's also building direct partnerships with enterprises like at the district level, at the school site level, and at that point you're talking per student cost for a license, and also a freemium model from the other apps where you would have some content and then pay for the premium features. So, and then also expanding to different platforms like Google Play Store and Edmodo, which we're already on, which has been very beneficial. And other ones that are coming out, I mean, teachers are moving online faster than ever before, and tablets in our schools. Our school just purchased 200 Chromebooks, and people are looking for content for these things. They have all these devices, but they really don't know what to do with them. There's a lot of stuff out there, but none of it really fits the bill for classroom use. So that's what we're trying to build, the next generation of tools for classrooms on mobiles.
And have you guys had interactions with districts at this point? Anything meaningful?
Yes, so we were interacting with Oakland Unified School District. They're very excited about the UPLI, the behavior management tool, because they have the Office of Civil Rights on their case about office referrals, and that's the problem that app solves. We're also working with our own organization where I work. It's called Education for Change, which is a charter management organization. And we're basically, with more seed funding, we can expand outside of the regional area of Oakland and the East Bay, where we're having our impact right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sleek Geek. All right.
Hey, hello. We're HostBot. We provide analytics and marketing tool for the brick and mortar businesses. We have already proven that our solution is valuable with one of our pilot customers by raising their sales in 8% at the next month after using HostBot. I'm going to talk about that later, but first let me talk to you about the team that built this. We have together more than 24 years of experience. We have Alberto Garcia. He's the founder of the most popular app in Mexico City with more than 1 million users in the database, has appeared 3 times on the App Store on the first place. Also, Edgar Vilches, he's a machine learning expert. This is his third approach with a startup based using analytics, and myself. I just do the pitches. No, but seriously, I've been working on TV and digital agencies for more than 5 years. I have a couple of international awards, one by Adobe. So together we came up on the idea that growing sales for our retail stores is really hard. In order to have more sales, you have to have focused marketing campaigns. You have to improve the visitor's experience. And you have to have more loyalty of your customers. And by combining all of these elements together, obviously you're going to be able to bring more customers. So the e-commerce platforms, they know how to do this stuff. They have tools like Google Analytics or Kissmetrics that are letting them know exactly what's happening and improving all of these points together. But for the retail stores, that's a completely different story. So they try to understand that, but the methods that they use right now are terrible. They're either obsolete, expensive, or horribly ineffective. That's why we created HostBot. HostBot is the Google Analytics for the brick and mortar businesses. So after you install HostBot, which is very easy, you're going to be able to know exactly what's happening inside your store with customer insights and analytics reports. So how does it work? Well, basically, after you plug it in and the people walks into the range of your store, we're going to start picking up their smartphones. And don't worry, we don't keep any personal information or or anything that could be considered invasive. And we just keep a mathematical representation of the smartphone, so we can tell the difference between cell phone A and cell phone B, and we process all of this information, and we deliver statistics to our customers. So what kind of analytics do we deliver them? For example, the number of visits, by month, by day, or even by hour. Also the recurrence, so they can tell if it's the first, second, or 10th time of someone, or even the average time spent by customer. So they can, so the marketing person in charge of a store can take smarter decisions. And the best of all, our devices work anywhere, in any device, and in real time. So we also focus on the design, so everybody can understand exactly what's happening without any previous learning. So we also are creating more products, so they can where they can exchange Wi-Fi for follows on Facebook or leads on Twitter. Right now we're piloting, and we're trying to acquire more stories about, of people using HostBot, success stories like the one that I'm gonna tell you right now. So this is one of our pilot testers. They are in Mexico City, and they're called Photo Shakespeare, a medium-sized library/cafeteria, and they had this weird peak at 7 a.m. in the morning, and they were not even open yet. They realized that after using HostBot, so we decided to investigate what was happening, and just by going there at the place at that time in the morning, we realized that there was a group of 50 to 60 people outside of the business waiting for the company bus. So no-brainer decision. They just decided to open 2 hours earlier. And just with that decision, they were able to improve their sales in 8.5% at the next month after using HostBot. Also, they were happy with their social media, and they were increasing in average of 10 likes per day from people from that area. Right now, we're using a subscription model where the more information that they need is the more information that they are going to pay for, and that makes a lot of sense since there's 1.1 million stores in the retail area in the US, and this solution could be applied for malls, for restaurants, or you name it. Right now, there's some people in the business using similar technologies, but our technology is much better. It keeps learning about the behavior of the people, and also we're targeting a bigger market. And besides that, we have a vision. So the vision that we have, right now we're in the first quarter that we call the exploration quarter, where we try to acquire as many popular brands and recognizable as possible, so we can achieve our first year goal, which is to have 1,000 businesses with HostBot. So after that, we can start making really interesting things like market intelligence and predicting the customer's behavior between cities and certain areas as soon as we have a bigger footprint and big data analysis with them. Right now, we're raising $250,000 to achieve the goal of our first year. Again, that is to have 1,000 locations with HostBot. So thank you, we're HostBot, and we're a tool that provides analytic and marketing tools for the brick and mortar businesses. But more than that, we know that we can change the way that people and business owners interact. So thank you.
Great. We have three and a half minutes for questions.
Hey there, good to see you again.
Hi.
Hey, so being that this is a social impact and ed tech pitch, and at the Cape Horse Center, we like to look at social impact business models. I can see some possibilities with this in terms of helping out community, and I think we talked about this before, you know, giving more information to the user so maybe they can be better with their finances, or helping out businesses that usually don't have the resources to get high-end systems. So have you guys thought more about that?
Yeah, on the social part, we're trying to give the people that doesn't have a data plan an app so they can tell which location uses HostBot, and they can obtain free Wi-Fi for starters. So that can help the businesses too, because the people are going to find out that there's places with free Wi-Fi, and also we can use that information to partner with cities and things like that.
I didn't quite get how you implement this. You have an app, but how does that app record data?
Oh no, we
What
don't
data
have
is
an
it
app.
collecting?
We don't have an app. We built a device, and that device knows that there's a cell phone nearby. The people that is nearby doesn't have to download anything. They just get tracked as soon as they walk in the range of our device.
Okay. And so it's by text, or no?
No,
You're,
we use the Wi-Fi signature of the smartphones.
okay. Okay. I think I get it.
And how much detail do you get on consumer behavior while they're in the proximity of the store or inside the store? You see kind of their movements throughout, where they spend their time?
Yeah, we can. Well, I went quickly through that slide because of the time, but we can know things like the average time spent per visitor, the peak hours of the store, even the people outside and inside of the business by hour. A lot of data by day, by week. Right now we're using these comparatives with some of our pilot testers, and they are loving it to compare the people outside of their business by week and things like that.
And what is the fee structure that you're planning to implement for smaller stores? Let's say, for example, just a small location for a cafe or something.
Oh, right now, this one, we use that so they can exchange free Wi-Fi for follows on Facebook or increase their email database. We're using that on a bar in San Jose, that one, and they have increased their email database in an average of 100 people in the time that they were using it. So whenever they try to log into the Wi-Fi, they have to follow them on Facebook or give them their email or things like that. This is a great place for them to give promotions or things like that.
And what do they pay for the service? What does the Brit pay for using Hotspot?
Say that again?
What do you charge the Brit for using your service?
For small businesses, $50
Monthly.
monthly, yeah, and an installation fee of $100. But for retail businesses, it's big. The price is bigger because we use different technologies.
All right, thank you, HostSpot.